We are going to deal today with one aspect of Rabbi Singer's understanding of Isaiah chapter 53 and verse 8. We are going to see that Rabbi Singer's understanding of Isaiah chapter 53 and verse 8 does not agree with any other Tanakh or Hebrew Bible that we can find. So what Rabbi Singer is teaching is not in agreement with thousands of years of tradition of the written Torah. Rabbi Singer's understanding of the Masoretic Hebrew language text, or what he is showing you it means, does not agree with what all the other scholars of Judaism have believed for thousands of years. Beware of what you believe. It could cost you your soul. Rabbi Singer does not believe Jesus is the Messiah prophesied in the Tanakh or the Hebrew Bible or the Old Testament. Rabbi Singer says that the suffering servant in Isaiah chapter 53 and verse 8 is Israel. He believes the suffering servant in Isaiah chapter 53 verse 8 is Israel, because he says that the verse talks about Israel using the pronoun they. We see here in Isaiah that Rabbi Singer is showing us on the screen. Has some Hebrew, has some English. And he says the verse is translated, or this part of the verse is translated, for the transgression of my people, they were stricken. What we're going to see from every source available is that Isaiah chapter 53 verse 8 is referring to a he, the pronoun he. And he, as we know, is a man. We are going to confirm this from looking at 4 Hebrew Bibles and the content from Chabad organization and from Mechon Mamre, the studiers of the Torah, and some Christian Old Testaments. And you are going to see that if you have believed what Rabbi Singer is saying about Isaiah chapter 53 verse 8, you are going to see that everyone else says the suffering servant is a he. It's not a they, as Rabbi Singer wants you to believe. We're going to be looking at what he said from his YouTube video, Missionaries Converting Jews on the Streets of Jerusalem. Rabbi Singer says the original Hebrew should be translated they. In this way, he says the suffering servant is Israel. Rabbi Singer is saying the Hebrew is translated as they. But is it? What do other sources tell us about the translation of Isaiah chapter 53 and verse 8? Let's take a look. Here, let's start off by showing that we are dealing with the same Hebrew word. In Rabbi Singer's production of his video, we see the Hebrew word in Isaiah chapter 53 verse 8. And on the right, you will see the same word, Hebrew word, in the Revised Jewish Publication Society published in 2023. We don't have to be Hebrew language scholars to see, looks like the same word. But for some reason, Rabbi Singer translates the word as they. and everyone else translates it as he. Let's take a look. First off, from Chabad organization. Chabad says the suffering servant is a he. This is from their website. This is from the Bible that they use. And we can see it says, for he was cut off from the land of the living. And I've added the Hebrew word there for you so you can see Chabad says Isaiah chapter 53 verse 8 is referring to a he, a man. Let's turn to our next point. Mechon Mamre. They say the suffering servant is a he. Now, Mechon Mamre is a small group of observant Jewish Torah scholars in Israel who live by the plain and simple meaning, etc. These scholars know Hebrew inside and out. And how do they translate Isaiah chapter 53 and verse 8? They say, for he was cut off of the land of the living. Now we have two major groups that are saying Isaiah chapter 53 verse 8 refers to a he, but I'm not going to give up there. That should be enough. I am going to look at with you 4 Hebrew translations of the Bible. What do they say about Isaiah chapter 53 and verse 8? Let's first look at the Revised Jewish Publication Society Bible printed in 2023. It says, for he was cut off from the land of the living. Isaiah chapter 53 verse 8. The Revised JPS 2023 says, he, not they. Let's go to our next example. The Jewish Publication Society printed in 1985. What did they say back in 1985? For he was cut off from the land of the living. Let's go back even further. What did the Jewish Publication Society say back in 1917? For he was cut off out of the land, not they. And one more example, but I could go on. For he was cut off, the Koran Jerusalem Bible, Isaiah chapter 53 verse 8. So you are beginning to see, I hope you see, what Rabbi Singer says this verse means is not what everybody else says it means. If you're believing in him, you're on your own. You are not with the rest of Judaism. You're not with them. I did an analysis on Isaiah chapter 53. I ran it through this software program that will tell you what words are being used and how many times are they being used in a chapter or a paragraph. And you can see here that the word he occurred 21 times in Isaiah chapter 53. Are you trying to tell me that Isaiah 21 times got it wrong? 21 times he was talking about a man, and Rabbi Singer says he's talking about the nation of Israel? Who is wrong? Who is mistranslating the original Hebrew language? Just so that you know, all the English Bible translations from Christians agree with the Tanakh. They agree with the Hebrew Bible. They agree with Chabad. They agree with Mechon Mamre. Let's look at some of these verses in the Christian Bible. I have up here 7 of them You can go through them yourself. But each and every one of these translations says he, not they. We have an overwhelming amount of translations. In fact, we have an absolute victory for the translation of this word. If everyone else says that the suffering servant is a man, a he, in Isaiah chapter 53, verse 8, then the suffering servant is a man. And everyone says that the suffering servant is a he, except for Rabbi Singer. I'm going to share a couple of more clips with you from Rabbi Singer speaking to show you the irony of what's going on here. In the first clip, we hear Rabbi Singer refer to the Messiah as a he. I don't think he did this intentionally, but he did quote Isaiah chapter 53 verse 5, and he said, by his stripes we were healed. And then he says that Isaiah chapter 53 verse 8 says, for the transgressions of my people, they were stricken. So he says in his own video, his stripes we were healed. His stripes we were healed. His stripes we were healed. Who is his? His is the Messiah.
By his stripes we were healed. For the transgressions of my people, they were stricken. By his stripes we were healed. For the transgressions of my people, they were stricken. By his stripes we were healed. For the transgressions of my people, they were stricken.
And then he mistranslates Isaiah chapter 53 verse 8 and says it's a they. It's the nation of Israel. Don't believe him for a minute, not even a second. If you believe his translation, you are not believing what the original Hebrew says, or what every other Hebrew Bible says, or what every Christian Bible says, or what any other scholar says about what the word means. Secondly, Rabbi Singer in the same video condemns any missionary who mistranslates the scriptures incorrectly to get people to believe what they're saying. Take a listen.
Isaiah 53 verse 8. You can be sure that the Christian Bibles all mistranslate that pronoun. Now, that pronoun is mistranslated very deliberately, not for any kind of weird ideas about pronouns. It is talking about Israel, but the New Testament can't have you think it's talking about Israel.
But as you can see, this is exactly what Rabbi Singer is doing. He's mistranslating the Tanakh. He is making the Tanakh say what he wants it to say, changing the text. He's a missionary. He's trying to get people to stop believing in Jesus as the Messiah, and he's using a mistranslation to do it. Ironically, he is speaking about himself in his video. Rabbi Singer is not using any of the Tanakh or Hebrew Bibles that you have access to. He's using his own. Rabbi Singer is therefore changing the meaning of the Hebrew Bible that is translated from the original Hebrew language. He has his own meaning for Isaiah chapter 53 verse 8. Rabbi Singer's version of Isaiah chapter 53 verse 8 does not agree with those Hebrew Bibles you have seen. His version doesn't agree with the other organizations that translate that word. His version doesn't agree with what the scholars of Judaism say it means. Rabbi Singer's version is different, unique. It stands on its own. Changing the meaning of a word from he to they blinds you from the fact that Jesus is the Messiah. Many Jewish people walking around the world today are seeing and believing in Jesus as the Messiah. The scales are falling off their eyes. They're reading for themselves and saying, wait a second. The Messiah is a man. These groups are walking the streets of Jerusalem, sharing the gospel. Groups like One for Israel are expanding. I'm not a part of One for Israel, but I love going to their YouTube channel and listening to the hundreds of Jewish people who are converting to Christ, who are believing in Jesus as the Messiah, because the time is short. The end is near. And when you die, do you want to be sure that you're going to heaven? You can be. Do not believe in someone who is proclaiming something different than what is in the Hebrew Bible or the Tanakh or the Old Testament. Don't believe someone who makes up their own version of words and preaches them to you. You deserve better. You deserve the truth. Believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, and you will be saved. Believe Messiah. Believe what Isaiah said about him. He is the one who was wounded. By his stripes, you are healed.